a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.
For those of you that know me, you know me because of my passion for Mary Kay. But I have another story besides my Mary Kay. The following story is personal because it's about me. More recently, it touched me that one of my consultants fell victim to domestic violence. And you may have heard of her. She's a 26-year-old that lived in Oceano, Patty Marino. She lost her life August 15th, 2015. That day, or within hours of finding this information out, is when I implemented this event. All those donations, everyone sitting here, every flyer you saw, everything was put together since that date. Because I've had it up here, but once that happened, I knew we had to have a voice. We had to start doing something about this. It's not okay anymore. It's never been okay, but it's really not okay. It's so sad. A 26-year-old with a 3- and a 5-year-old left. I can't even imagine. So many of you have daughters that age. I don't even want you to have to imagine. Have you ever experienced somebody or personally known somebody that had had teenage pregnancy, physically abused, dropping out of high school, maybe somebody that got into drugs, held by gunpoint, her daughter kidnapped by her own dad at 6 months old? Did you ever feel like you never wanted to watch Oprah because it felt like it was prying into your own life? Well, that's just a part of my life and what I've had to experience and overcome. So you see, you can never know one's personal story just by looking at their appearance. But there is hope right here. There is and can be joy, and most importantly, a new beginning. Now, let's begin the fashion show. I'm all ready to give it up. I have stepped out. It's taken me years to find the power and the faith and the energy to get into this space, to want to say it out loud, because I was always so worried about what people would say about me, what they would think about me, how they might treat me. And so today, we want to celebrate women.
I never thought I would be 1 in 4. You know, that statistic of women who are victims of domestic violence was something I heard about and never understood. My story is about freedom, it's about purpose, it's about empowering women. Since I was 5 years old, I've been sewing. It's my passion. It's something I just did as a hobby. But in 2000, I went to Los Angeles, and I really saw this city full of creativity, and I thought, you know what, this is my next step. During this time, I met this guy, just Mr. Prince Charming. I started to become really dependent, and he started to take advantage. Well, why don't you just let me take care of you? He would max out my credit cards, and then he would pay them off every month. And he's like, oh, I'm building your credit. Now all my money's been spent. He spent every dime out of my savings. He's now maxed out these credit cards. I was trapped. The verbal assault started getting more and more intense, but he would do it in such a way that somehow it made sense in my head that I was the problem. He beat me within an inch of my life. He had me held up against the wall, choking me by the throat, and he pulled out a gun and held it to my head. I remember starting to grow into a really deep depression. There were days I didn't want to get out of bed, I couldn't leave the house, and I just thought, you know what, I should just end this. I'm just gonna go run and jump off the bridge. It was New Year's Eve. As I was opening my door, he grabbed my wrist and was dragging me, and he sucker punched me, and I'm laying on the ground with my dress over my head, and there was a man letting a celebrity actress into her limousine. The limousine driver came over and pulled my dress down and picked me up and slipped me his card, and he said, I will be your witness. The policeman that showed up, Detective Hill, I will forever be grateful for. He said, you know what, you're my sister, and no one treats my sister this way. Without those champions, who has a chance? Basically, Detective Hill kept his word, and he went after him. He talked me into being strong enough to be a witness and to stand up for myself and to press charges. Day by day, my confidence came back, my strength came back. I thought, I'm not being beaten and abused anymore, and I could take all this sadness and hurt inside of me, and I could turn it into a lot of change and love. It's not even about any one person. It's not about me, Abby Farron. It's about realizing that there's hope and inspiration. If you're in a household, know what's going in and what's coming out. Be a partner in that. And if you are not allowed to be a partner, there's something wrong. Love doesn't hurt like that. I know it seems hopeless, but there are so many resources out there. I'm not a survivor, I'm a victor. What I did was done with a lot of strength and a lot of courage. Every woman who comes out of that deserves to have that title of a victor, a champion. She really had to overcome some serious odds to get there. I am 1 in 4.
Growing up into domestic violence, I never believed I'd be one of four. My earliest memory was of my mom being severely beaten. I knew it wasn't right, but it was just the way it was, always running away and being afraid. I always just believed I will never live that way. I will never allow anybody to lay their hands on me. Well, I got married, and we have 3 beautiful kids. Things didn't go well for us. So 3 years after my divorce, I met this man, and when I met him, I was just wowed. I was in love with him. First, it was him having outbursts or being insulting. Then it would be that he'd push me, and then he would say he didn't mean to. He broke several windows and doors breaking into my apartment. He would keep me isolated in a room, and then stick his hands on my mouth, restraining me on the bed. Sometimes I'd wake up to him hitting me or to him doing things to me, violating me. I kept believing that it would stop or it would change, and it never did. When I finally started to wake up was, when I couldn't see my kids anymore. I would leave trying to get away, and then he would find me. One day, I couldn't do it anymore. I called the police. Please, send an officer. Sergeant Young, this man was serious business. He says, if I can help you get out right now, would you leave? I said, let's go right now. Then he comes to me and he says, well, I think you might be able to go to the shelter. And there began a whole new life. Today, I am a survivor. Learning to love myself, to take care of myself, being told that yes, you can. Now, I still have a lot of work to do. I know that. But I have finally found a place and people who want to help me. If you're in the pain, in the violence, you don't really realize how much it impacts your daily life. Not just when it's happening, but how you think about yourself and the people around you. I might not see my kids today, but they're gonna see I never gave up. I'm learning, changing, thriving. I feel more complete than I ever have in my whole life. I am 1 in 4.
So I slept with a hammer or a screwdriver or a baseball bat.
There was multiple occasions where he tried stabbing her.
If it was not for her neighbor who happened to be up at 6 in the morning to call us, she probably would have passed away.
I mean, there was times in my home where there were hammers being thrown across the room at my head.
He tried to, start the house on fire, and he locked her and the children up in a closet.
Broke my nose, just totally bruised my entire rib cage. We lived a couple of blocks from the hospital, and I found myself walking to the hospital.
A woman had literally climbed off of her balcony, bleeding profusely, and collapsed on her neighbor's balcony after being beaten up by her boyfriend of 14 years.
Her oldest child, which is a boy, was very afraid and fearful to leave her alone. He kind of took on the responsibility of the protector.
Sleeping on my floor so that I could hear any vibration in my home, because I was under so much intimidation and so much fear.
We don't oftentimes like to think about the fact that violence is happening in our community, in the homes of our neighbors near us, but it really is true here in our county. In fact, in our county we have one of the highest rates of reported domestic violence in the entire state of California. What if we were able, in our county, to eliminate domestic violence? Interface can't do this by ourselves. We know we need to have partners. That's why we're engaging law enforcement. That's why we're engaging the Ventura County District Attorney's Office, Children and Family Services at the county. We know it's going to take a partnership of all of these organizations and then some. Together, I think we can really make a difference in our community.
I wholeheartedly agree.
If I had had that back then, if I had known that the resources were available, I think my life would have been so much different.
She ended up finding help with her aunt and uncle. They connected her to a 211. Interface was there to help her, and we immediately placed her into our program where she felt safe.
There is help out there, there's counseling, and perhaps we never have to come back to that home. That's the goal. Domestic violence affects all of us.
Think about the stories that you have heard today. We need your help to intervene with kids and families who are experiencing violence. Interface is very passionate in addressing the needs that these families have. This isn't just another program for us. Interface does many wonderful things, but this is one of the few programs where we actually save lives, and you can assist us in that with your support. Thank you for supporting Interface as we confront domestic violence in our own community.
I was a young artist making a name for myself in Nassau, Bahamas, where I'm from. I got a write-up in the Source magazine, which is a big hip-hop magazine. And I met my ex-husband, who is a music promoter, music producer. The day that I said I do, he immediately changed. The first time it really got physical, I was 8.5 months pregnant, and he grabbed me by my shirt and he threw me. And I realized I've never seen him like this. And I said, I'm gonna call the police. He said, you're gonna call the police? And he took his belt off. And my first lash was to my legs. I heard a knock at the door. There was a police officer on the left and a police officer on the right. It was like, are you okay? I said, yes. The officer took me outside. He said, I know you're not being honest with me, but it's okay to be honest. And I could not say anything. I remember not too long after that, I went to a doctor's appointment, and I was in the waiting room flipping through magazines, and I saw a domestic violence hotline. And I saved the number to my phone. I knew there had to be something better for me. When I went into the shelter, I started like prayer groups, tried to stay active. I went to school. I got my citizenship. I was able to get my protective order. All of these things that I thought that I could not accomplish, I was able to accomplish. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy raising 3 kids on my own, but I'm doing it. The same reason why I stayed, which was my children, became the exact same reason why I left. Because God forbid, if I was to lose my life, or something serious was to happen to me, then where do I leave my children? If he says or does something to make you feel inadequate or even less of a human, less about yourself, that is abuse. Don't be afraid to be by yourself or to leave that person, because love does not hurt. I refuse to let what I went through harden my heart and not be open up to love. I'm here and I'm alive and I'm happy and I'm free and I'm healthy, and that's all that matters. I am 1 in 4.
It started off really sweet. He would bring me flowers, we'd go on motorcycle rides. He liked to dance. I felt like I had the best things going in life. I was actually going to be married. I had already gone to college. That was more than anybody in my family had done. We didn't even make it through the honeymoon before things got worse. I took the brunt of every one of his mood swings. I was either not smart enough, not quick enough. I just felt really bad about myself all the time. At 7 months pregnant, I was in a snow-covered parking lot trying to catch my husband, who was running around the snow in nothing but his underwear, screaming that he was going to kill me and the baby because we were imposters. He was arrested, he was admitted to a psychiatric ward, and then he was institutionalized with the state. It was about 7 weeks before my due date. I got a really difficult phone call from the state hospital saying that they needed the space and there were people who were more ill than he was. So he was released back into my care. As he started to get mentally stronger, he started to get more abusive. I started to wonder if maybe he was just an abusive person. There was one night he was yelling and I was crying. He opened the cupboard door and he put my head in the cupboard and just started slamming the cupboard door. I realized I had not understood the rage he was capable of. Our daughter deserved better than the life we were giving her. I went to the courthouse and I filed for a restraining order. It has been 9 years since I filed for divorce, and what was waiting on the other side was more than I ever dreamed. I think a survivor is willing to say this has happened to me, but it's not going to be who I am anymore. You deserve to be treated well, you deserve to be loved, you deserve to feel good about yourself. There are people who care and people who want to help you. You just have to let them. Your story is not done. You have the strength to change. You have the hope to change. Don't give up on that. If you're willing to do it, you'll grow into the woman of your biggest dreams. I am 1 in 4.
So, have you ever heard anybody say man up?
Yes. My dad tells us that a lot, and when he means that, he means like to be tough and strong and don't let people see your weaknesses.
Growing up in the 60s and 70s as a young kid, man up had a total, that was strong, aggressive, you didn't cry, being macho, seas hombre. You always were in charge, you couldn't show emotions.
Society, the definition of a man seems to be to not show any emotions whatsoever, show no weakness.
By society standards, manning up means being tough, rough, never showing your soft side, never letting them see you sweat, never saying you're sorry, and you do what it takes.
If you're not the strongest, if you're not the toughest, then we look down on that. First thing you want to do is man up.
It's normal locker room talk, man up. Don't feel the pain, suck it up, don't be a wuss. And this is what the true meaning of being a man is.
Unfortunately, we put people in boxes. Little boys are often told not to cry, or if they fall down when they're playing sports, they're forced to get up and play through the pain.
It's time to change.
My athletes will tell you that being a man is far beyond a playing field or a court. It's how that they treat young ladies. It's how they treat their teachers. It's how they treat our custodians. It's how they treat the lunch ladies. And they're being taught on how to be a man and what's right and what's wrong. That means more to me as a coach than any win.
Manning up is being a smart man, accepting diversity and respect her opinions and ideas.
I'm like the leader of my family now, so that's what manning up means to me.
Well, when I man up, I treat my wife with the same respect and kindness that I hope my daughters are someday treated.
When I man up, I face fear head on. It's okay not to have all the answers. I'm not afraid to say, I don't know. Let's figure this out together.
When I man up, I take responsibility for all my actions, not just some, for all my actions.
I used to see my mom have bruises, and so I don't want to be like my dad. I want to do better than he did.
It's an epidemic, and the only way it's going to be changed for the better is for men to be actively involved. Talking about it is important, but we've got to act, we've got to do, we've got to be the role models.
Man up. Man up.
Man up.
Man up.
Man up.
Man up.
Sé un hombre.
Man up.
Man up.
Hey you, man up.
I'll be the last one standing, 2 hands in the air, I'm a champion. You'll be looking up at me when it's over. I live for the battle, I'm a soldier. Yeah, I'm a fighter like Rocky. Put your flag on your back like Ali. Yeah, I'm the greatest, I'm stronger. Bet my dues, can't lose, I'm my own, yeah. Hey, I've been working my whole life, and now it's do or die. I am invincible, unbreakable, unstoppable, unshakable. They knock me down, I get up again. I am the champion. You don't know my name, you can't hurt me now. I can't feel the pain. I was made for this, yeah, I was born to win. I am the champion. When they write my story, they're gonna say that I did it for the glory, but don't think that I did it for the fame, yeah. I did it for the love of the game, yeah. And this is my chance I'm taking. All them old records I'm breaking. All you people watching on the TV, you go ahead and put your bets on me. Hey, I've been waiting my whole life to see my name in lights. I am invincible, unbreakable, unstoppable, unshakable. They knock me down, I get up again. I am the champion. You don't know my name, you can't hurt me now. I can't feel the pain. I was made for this, yeah, I was born to win. I am the
Born champion. The C is for the courage I possess through the drama. H is for the hurt, but it's all for the honor. A is for my attitude, working through the patience. Money comes and goes, the M is for motivation. Gotta stay consistent, the P is to persevere. The I is for integrity, innovative career. The O is optimistic, open and never shut. And the N is necessary, cause I'm never giving up. See, they ask me how I did it, I just did it from the heart. Crushing the competition, been doing it from the start. They say that every champion is all about his principles. Carry.